Welcome back to Reality NSFW and our discussion of Big Brother Canada 9. Tonight we're talking about the Week 8 eviction and the fake double eviction. But before we do, I want to talk to you about one of our sponsors, and that's NordVPN. They're going to help you get secure and private access to the internet. A VPN service is going to provide you a secure encrypted tunnel for online traffic to flow. Nobody can see through a tunnel and get their hands on your internet data. That's why NordVPN is the best VPN if you're looking for peace of mind, whether you're using public Wi-Fi, accessing personal and work accounts on the road, or you just want to keep your browsing history to yourself. Nord's going to help you protect all your devices. Do you use Windows at work, Mac OS at home, and Linux for special projects? That's no problem. There's a NordVPN application for each of these, plus apps for iOS, Android, and Android TV. Oh, there's also encrypted proxy extensions for Chrome and Firefox. And best of all, with one NordVPN account, you can secure up to 6 devices all at the same time. They're going to let you enjoy a fast and stable connection anywhere. Buffering can be the ultimate buzzkill, so streaming or downloading files with a slow internet connection is just not an option. No worries, you just need a VPN service that offers a fast connection with no limits on bandwidth. That means you need NordVPN. Choose from over 5,500 NordVPN servers in 59 countries and enjoy the fastest VPN experience. Having more servers means less load, and the wide variety of locations means there's a higher chance you'll find one nearby. They have super fast servers with 5,200 plus in 59 countries. They're going to let you unlock Netflix and your favorite entertainment websites. They'll give you a 30-day money-back guarantee to protect your data while traveling or in public. They have a CyberSec suite that acts as an ad blocker, and they're now giving faster connections with Nord links. There's no data logging, 24/7 customer support. You get up to 6 simultaneous connections and double data encryption for increased anonymity. And we have a special deal for our listeners. Just go to nordvpn.com/SurvivorNSFW and use the coupon SurvivorNSFW at checkout to get a 2-year plan with a huge discount plus an additional month for free. That's NordVPN, NordVPN/SurvivorNSFW. And be sure to use that code SurvivorNSFW to get a 2-year plan with a huge discount plus 1 additional month for free. And here we are back once again Thursday night after the episode talking about the latest eviction, this time a fake double eviction. Peter Brown, thank you for coming back once again. I am so excited to talk about this. It's all been stupid, but it's all been so much fun. One of the best episodes of Big Brother Canada I've ever seen. How are you doing?
I'm also at a loss for words. This week of Big Brother Canada 9, look, I thought the show was going to be dead after the double eviction. I thought it was RIP. But, you know, even if it did die on that day, the corpse of Big Brother Canada 9 has been amazingly exciting. This week has been, look, everyone wants unpredictable Big Brother. You got unpredictable Big Brother this week.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Prevailing wisdom seems to be that every one of them played poorly this week. No one made a good move for their game. Are you on that page?
Well, Braden probably put himself further. So it's probably good for Braden to a degree, even though he technically volunteered to go on the block. And Kiefer probably put himself further too. So it was a good week for them. Theoretically, it should have been a good week for Tara, as she looked like she kind of consolidated a group to go to the end. Like they kind of were the like it looked like that was going to be our end 4. The Sauce had an exceptionally terrible week. Overall, the gamesmanship this year has been just all over the place, but that's awesome. Like, look, I'll take erratic, unbelievable, backwards, illogical gameplay over a bunch of game bots every day of the week. It feels like very old school Big Brother, which is a welcome relief from what we've gotten in subseasons in recent history.
No, I'm with you. I mean, it's been a Marcellus kind of week, which is a lot of fun. Lots of old school stuff going on this week. I definitely hear what you're saying. It is interesting thinking about, Braden. I think this move could have gone better for Braden, but you are right. I really wasn't considering that when I was thinking about who was benefiting from this move. He did advance further in the game because of the events of this week, but I do think his position to win has slightly worsened.
Yeah, I think of those that remain, regardless of who returns, Braden's win equity is probably the lowest of the group.
Yeah.
Depending on how they perceive. So I'm sure we're going to talk about it. Should someone who gets eliminated from a game like Big Brother or Survivor be eligible to win? This is a very interesting argument, and one I'm sure that we'll have later on in the show. But depending on how this particular cast views that, if they value that person the least, they're going to slip under Braden. But Braden has probably the most difficult road to a victory for those that remain.
Yeah, you know what? Let's get into that now. Because let's not bury the lead. Everyone is thinking who's coming back into this house. We just watched this crazy exciting episode. And we're gonna have to wait. Feeds are down until the next episode on Monday when we get to find out who's coming back in. I mean, I saw the looks on their faces. I'm ready for Jed to walk back in that door. Going into that comp, it's Jed all day.
Even just like body language, when you looked at Jed and Tara on their shuffleboard looking thing, whatever it was, it looked like they're going to be rolling some balls or whatever, classic Big Brother. But Jed looked like he was determined to win, and Tara looked like she was already defeated. So just, she was kind of down and into herself, and it was, I got to go against this comp beast, or, at least a super physical, athletic guy. So I don't know, if I'm in Vegas and I'm going to place my bet down, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Jed. But hey, it is that classic. Anyone can roll the ball down the right chute at the right time, or place it in the right part of the table, whatever. So it's not to completely dismiss Tara's chances of winning, but I think conventional wisdom would say that the best entertainment value is absolutely going to be Jed returning to the game.
Yeah, that's what we all want. And I think he got a real advantage here because he got to sit and collect his thoughts for some time. I know this was pre-taped, so it's not like this. Tara didn't walk straight down there. She had some time, but you could even see how upset Jed was when he got voted out, how upset Tara was when she got voted out. She was still holding on to some of that energy when they were in the competition stage. Jed was not. Even when Tara was trying to apologize to Jed, say all this, that he was just in his end state. He had processed what had happened, and he had already worked out, I need to be ready to go back in this game. Something is happening. I need to get my head back on my shoulders. And she's still flustered. So yeah, I've got all my money on Jed. I'm betting on him 1,000%. So let's get into this. Can he win if he comes back? I mean, theoretically, can anyone win who's been voted out of the game? You were faced with this decision with Gary versus Jillian.
Yep.
I don't remember how you voted.
I voted for Gary.
Okay.
Yeah. So, which is there is obviously an argument out there that if someone is eliminated from a show like Survivor or Big Brother, they should be ineligible to win. Okay. So that argument is based on the supposition that your objective in the game is to not be eliminated. And that's only partially true. Your objective of the game in Big Brother is to be eligible to receive votes from the jury at the end to win.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter how you get there. What matters is that you are there and you have the opportunity to make your case to the jury. Now, some people don't like the fact that, a house guest returns at a late stage in the game. Here they are at Final Four. They're going to get someone returning at Final Five. This is exactly what happened my season. Gary returned with 4 people remaining in the house. He and I were a revolving door. When I walked out, there were 4 people remaining. When he walked in, there were 4 people that he was coming home to. In my opinion, obviously I voted for someone that was evicted, and not to completely rehash history, but if they really wanted Gary out, they had several opportunities to do so. He was on the block. He won, against Tala. They chose to evict Tala over Gary, which is maybe not the greatest decision ever, because Tala certainly would have been the easiest person to defeat in the end. But Gary won himself out of trouble. Gary convinced people to keep him around. And as far as I was concerned, Gary was an incredibly dangerous player. He's one of the most underrated Big Brother players, I think, that we have in Canada. And he was only evicted because of choices that, in part, I would have made. So it was kind of like a makeup call in one way or another. I think Jed has the same opportunity. Jed is regarded as a top player in that game. He's not. Jed's pretty bad at Big Brother, actually, but that's not important. Our perspective of Jed is irrelevant because their perspective of Jed is that he is this top tier, he's the best player in the house and yada, yada, yada. So if he can come back from death, basically, and have a little bit of a run, I think that somehow they will be so flabbergasted that he was able to pull it off that they will probably vote for him, regardless of the fact that that he was evicted tonight. So I think it always just comes down to the people. Like there was that guy in Survivor,
Chris Underwood.
Yeah.
He
was evicted or eliminated very, very early, won himself back into the game, and then won. And like I think he chose to make fire against like the arguably the other best player of the season to be like, okay, well, if I'm going to come back and do this, I have to beat the best guy. Jed is obviously not beating the best remaining player in Terra to return to the game, but like if he runs through the rest of the people in there, then heck, you got to tip your hat to him, and maybe he will have earned it. There's no deserving in Big Brother. I hate when people say that they deserve the win. You can only earn the win. You can only earn the win by earning votes. Like I said, it's your objective to be eligible to earn votes, not just to not get evicted, because Big Brother is all about twists. People come back more often than they don't in every season. It doesn't matter when they come back. All that matters is that they do come back.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting distinction of what your end game is. Like, it's easy to get distracted watching Big Brother. You think, because your weekly objective is to not be evicted, but your long-term objective is to receive votes at the end to win. And I think it's really difficult as a viewer to like get your head in both of those spaces. Because you would have to think through every single player's multiple objectives for every player is a little difficult to juggle. But yeah, no, I have no problem with someone being voted out and then winning the game. I mean, I was not a fan of Chris Underwood's win.
Me either.
I wasn't a fan of the twist. I don't hold it against him.
Right.
He did everything he needed to do, everything he could do. I did not like that twist. I thought the twist was a little broken. I also think coming back at Final Four is maybe a little too late in Big Brother, but I can't hold that against Gary or his game. That's beside the point. And I remember, I think it was Alec making the point on your season also, which is this is Big Brother Canada. We are very twist heavy. We are very dependent on public votes. And this is what's going to happen. Don't vote for some game that doesn't exist. You're voting for this game that we did play. And for that reason, yeah, I'm cool with that. And I could see Jed coming back and winning. I like a hero sometimes. I usually go for the more villainous players, but I would really like to see Jed come in and get some vengeance because this is brutal. The one thing I do see as being a real problem for him with getting respect back is this is a real taint on his game, what happened this week, because he got the wool absolutely pulled over his eyes and he looked foolish. Like if he's sitting next to any one of these people, they can just be like, I already vanquished him. I do not need to prove it again how much better I am than him because I've already done it once.
Yeah, if Jed comes back, then maybe that's his easiest route to the end. It's just being like, look, okay, the jury's not going to vote for me because you guys already beat me once. Okay, then take me to the end, give me $20,000 and win. Okay, cool. That's a pretty convincing argument. I don't think that's going to be. Jed has a very big ego, as Rohan made reference to in the episode, with his head Jed's head not being able to fit through the doors at the jury house. Easy for me to say. This is a person who's, I think, very unfamiliar with actually Big Brother Canada and probably Big Brother as a whole. So it's always funny when it's like, oh, this is going to be the greatest move in Big Brother history. It's like, okay, can you name moves in Big Brother history? So like, I don't know. But, this person who obviously has a huge high opinion of himself based on what he's done so far. He has played an incredibly messy game. It would be one thing if he'd played an amazing game and then he got boondoggled, like swindled with the Save Your Showmance plot, which they so effectively got. That was really good gameplay to collectively convince him to do that. But he also did the Save Kiefer thing. Jed has not been a very good Big Brother player. So I don't necessarily view him as the hero character, although I don't Ty is probably the only hero character we have left, actually. Although he was kind of stone cold in this character too. So I think we have a lot of gray area characters remaining. I don't know.
It was Ty's heel turn. I don't know. I think that the only reason I'm calling Jed a hero is that he's preaching loyalty. He made this move to save his friends, and they burned him. So I see that as more heroic, and then I see Ty as like sitting there stone faced, betraying his closest friend in the house. Seeming nowhere.
Look, you could make the argument. This isn't why Jed was doing this, really. Like, at least based on the edit. But like, you could make the argument that, from Jed's perspective, knowing that Beth would go if she was on the block, the best way to ensure the survival of the trio is to keep himself vulnerable, take Beth off the block, and somehow ensure that Ty doesn't go on the block, and then have somebody else go. This can still actually happen, and in fact, it probably will. So in a really weird roundabout, you would never expect it to happen this way, but the plan, only because of the weird twist in the timing, might, like, Big Brother is a results-oriented game. And even though the path to get there is the dumbest path you could possibly think, if the result is that on Tara's HOH week, Tara is the one who leaves, and the sauce, the three of them, are still the majority alliance in the house, even though that alliance is obviously fractured and broken, just the fact that those three bodies still will likely occupy space on the house like as of tonight sometime.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. So like, only because of the twist and only because of the weird circumstances, but it's like, it does not reframe the move as a good one, but at least the outcome, it would have technically been what they wanted before they all broke down into shambles and turned on each other. So I don't know. That's just a weird Big Brother thing.
Yeah. Oh man, it's messy. I wish we had like the final results to really go through and see how this is going to play out. But let's get into the episode a little bit and talk through. We've gotten to a lot of it, but let's go through as what we saw tonight, because it was a good one. So we start off with Braden and Tara celebrating out by the hot tub. With Braden is very pleased with himself. I don't exactly know why Braden is so pleased with himself for volunteering to go on the block and losing any ability to like claim this move as his own. This to me feels like Braden is like kissing his game goodbye for the final time.
Yeah, I'm just not sure what his like. If I'm trying to put myself in Braden's shoes, I feel like I'm really only playing for second. Like, I can't imagine from his perspective what argument that he would have beyond just being, I lost. Well, Kiefer kind of summed it up. Like, he lost all of his friends, or what friends he did have, and he was able to just like lay low. He was fearless to put himself on the block because he knew that he would be safe. He won when he did win a veto, to fast forward at the end of the episode. But like, I don't know, like and just the fact that he hasn't been really like exposed on the show that much, like he's not a real prominent character. Yeah. And like, towards the stretch, there's only 4 or 5 people left. Like, some people are going to be naturally amplified because you have no other option. But like, Braden has not really been a major contributing factor to the show. So like, I'm just trying to put myself in his like shoes, like what really is going to be his goal. And if his goal is just survival, okay, then that's a good one. But yeah, I don't know if it's going to be a respectful game regardless of where he ends up.
Yeah, I mean, it's back to that multiple objectives. He did a good job this week, but I think he sacrificed the war to win the battle here this week.
Yeah.
Because he has very few options left to do much of anything. And while we do see him win a comp later tonight, it's on this weird week, and he doesn't do anything with it. There's no move associated with this, so I don't know.
There is one strange thing that I do notice that the editors, the show doesn't really acknowledge, but if you kind of, especially in this episode, like there were 2 or 3 different points in the episode where like someone's either walking by or they're having a discussion or whatever it is, and like there's physicality between Braden and Ty.
Yes.
someone pointed out that like they think that there might be something going on there, and I'm like, what, really? Like, I don't know. And then I saw it in this episode, and I was like, oh, he's always like touching his hair or rubbing his back or like all these little like physical moments of like maybe they're just pals or whatever, but like I don't know.
Yeah, there's this is maybe we've forgotten about this because this house is so messy. The news has really moved on from the house. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if we ever got answers on what happened between them, but they've had at least a couple intimate moments in the house there was neck kissing involved and cuddling. So yeah, that could be there could be a lot more to that than what we're seeing at this point. Right. I don't know. My take on it is that Ty is just an open dude and is just close with Braden here and is fostering that relationship a little bit. But there could be more to this. I certainly think Ty is happy to keep Braden around because he sees that as his ticket to the end too.
Totally.
Yeah, which good move. But speaking of other people who are playing for second place, Tara, who says, I'm looking through my notes from the episode, and this reads so much differently now than when I wrote it. She says, I'm in a great spot if Jed leaves. I have nothing to worry about then.
Oh boy.
Oh my. The irony and hindsight there.
And sometimes you set yourself up for failure in Big Brother. Like it felt like Monday's episode was just littered with things about like, well, I'm never going to do this and I will absolutely do that. And like, I'll look like a fool if this happens. It'll never come to pass. And then fast forward 2 episodes and all of these things happen. And like literally even within this episode itself. So yeah, poor Tara. I mean, I don't know. I really was surprised at the outcome, genuinely, when, it looked like she had kind of accidentally like she won at the right time. She got rid of the big dude and had kind of formed this 4-person sort of, we're who's left, like who better than us to kind of go forward. Like that's really what the show was trying to sell to us. And I bought like it looked pretty convincing. Like, okay, there's 4 kind of random detached people.
And that's exactly what she should be doing. Like, perfect.
Exactly. So it must be then, because it's not like, it doesn't seem like she's the most loved house guest in there. Whatever sort of the bad taste that she left in their mouths for the first 7 weeks in the game must have really just been so overwhelming that like the 1 week that she had power and everyone kind of got her to do the right thing and to great effect, it wasn't enough for her, which is really strange. Like that's like the evaluation of Tara as a Big Brother player, I think maybe deserves a more in-depth look, because as someone who is definitely on the outs, only really occupied in like pairs, like for the most part in the game, but like her social game just must be so abysmal for in this particular circumstance for them just to throw up their hands less than 24 hours, after the resolution of this huge move, less than a few hours really, to evict her is very surprising.
Yeah, I think with this move, even though she was HOH, she was the last one to be told about it.
Yeah.
And I just think that while she did do everything I think she could do in her power to try to build a coalition here, to try to get herself in a good spot, you're right. I think her social game set her up in a spot so far that they wanted nothing to do with that.
Right.
Whether it was, there's been a lot of discussion of her microaggressions toward Jed and Ty and them feeling really put out by the way she speaks to and about them.
Interesting.
I can certainly see that playing a role. But yeah, very, very funny in hindsight because she did make this huge move and walks right out the door afterwards. But shortly after that, we see Beth and Braden chatting about how Beth's going to be perceived, how much credit she's going to get for different moves. So we talked, Braden's going to get basically no credit for this move on Jed, which will go down as, I have to think this will be the biggest move of the season. Who knows? They keep surprising me. I thought the Kiefer thing was huge, but is Beth going to be perceived to get any credit from this? Because she's very concerned she's going to get no respect from this jury. And we heard kind of the opposite from the jury tonight.
Right. Which I liked. So I was happy to hear that the jury has a positive evaluation or sentiment towards Beth's game. I really do think Beth can win this season. And I think, especially after what happened tonight, she might have just I thought she was done, but I think she might have just pole vaulted a little bit. She can't be a victim of her own insecurity, though. And obviously she has been struggling this for some time. I'm not going to get credit. I have to do things for me. And that's kind of the catch-22 of being in an alliance, especially if you're the self-professed brains at the alliance and you're relying on everyone else to kind of do the busy work, that it doesn't look like that's what you're doing. So we've seen in Big Brother before where house guests will, maybe be a strategic threat and get to the end of the game. And then you've got 90 seconds to try to convey 70 days worth of information to a bunch of people who may or may not like you. It's really, really difficult to do, and people have lost because of it before. So Beth has to start building her argument in her own head, even if it's fictitious to a degree. If someone's like, "Oh, you really didn't do that," or you didn't have a hand in that, or somebody else had a bigger stake in it, and you really didn't come up with that idea. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Beth has to make her case in her head, convince herself that it's true, so that if she's in the position to sell that case, it's hammered down and it at least comes across as authentic in that moment, because she believes it truly. And, she will, if she is in that position, then the jury will be more likely to believe it as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, she needs to be able to control her narrative here. So many of these players have struggled to control their narrative this season, which is amazing to me. The amount of time that we see them spending in the DR and to the cameras, just talking about how legendary they are and how their moves are the biggest moves of all time. Take all that bluster and work it into one cohesive thread to explain what your narrative is in this game and what your moves are. And that's the key. And for some reason, I don't think Kiefer's able to do that. He plays the game in these really mini cycles where all he can focus on is row, all he can focus on is this. It's very unusual from that. I mean, I think that's what's made this show this season so interesting on a week-to-week basis, is I don't think anyone is building an overarching narrative really. It's all off the cuff.
Well, look, it's really easy to think that you're the greatest ever when your basis of comparison is probably whatever you watched in Sequester. So, I mean, not to I don't know the extent of the fandom of these people. And look,
I think they saw Dane, and I think that's about it. Because they can't get his name out of their mouth. They can't stop talking about Pretty Boys 2.0. So in fairness, that season was a steamroll to the end. There were not big flashy moves that had to be made. So that makes sense if they're thinking anything they do is the biggest move that ever happened. Right.
Yeah. If that's their basis of comparison, is season 7 and then whatever they got of season 8. You're gonna kind of, it's weird because the show will condition you to think that the game is supposed to be played in a certain way. And really, the lesson that you sort of have to learn when you're in there is that you have, and this is something that Alec taught me while we were playing, is that you have to play to your cast. One particular methodology of Big Brother, sometimes there's things that are usually going to work, and it's probably easier to make a list of things that more often absolutely do not work. But ultimately it comes down to who's in there and what are the personalities like and how can you play off of them. And so, this cast has just been bopping into each other haphazardly all over the place since the very beginning, which makes them fun to watch, but impossible to create some kind of a traditional, the Derek, of course, is a very common modern example. It's just very clear that he's running the show. Everything kind of goes through him. Even Cody, actually, from All Stars last year in the United States, it's okay, the buck stops with him. It's clear he's the running the show. It's going to come down to either someone's going to take a shot in the last hour to evict him, or he's going to win. Okay, good. There's nobody like that in this season. It really reminds me of the early American seasons where it's okay, what's going to happen next? Because I really don't know.
Yeah, it's been a blast. I think this has been the biggest challenge of any show I've podcasted about, to make any predictions, because I'm instantly wrong anything I say, because I can't trust what these people are saying in the DR. I can't trust what they're saying to the camera, what they're saying to each other. They're going to do whatever they feel like 5 minutes later. They're going to completely change on a whim, which does make for a really entertaining show. But, really, really difficult to come up with any predictions about how the power rankings break down or who's going next. Because, like I would have predicted Tara was in a great spot and we see her immediately walk out. So.
But if you're a prospective Big Brother Canada player, or even if you're in the mix to possibly play Big Brother USA this summer, and you're watching this season to be like, okay, let me just brush up on my Big Brothering before I go in. I would, this is a great season to watch and be like, okay, here are all the things I don't want to do. Here's a list of a great deal of mistakes that often can be made in Big Brother, and I'm going to do my very darndest to make sure that I don't make any of those mistakes because they are aplenty. But in terms of big, bold moves or controlling a house or engineering a perfect alliance, this season has been very scattershot.
Yeah, no, fundamentals out the window. But I am glad that we do have a season that prospective Big Brother players will watch and maybe bring some of this chaotic energy, because lately the seasons they'd be given, if you're going on the show and they're like, here's a season, check this out. Don't watch Dane's game and try to emulate that. Don't watch Cody Calafiore's game and try to emulate that. I don't want to watch that. It's too well developed. I don't want that. I want this mess. So pretty good. But we were talking a little bit about Beth, and we see on the episode that Beth says she wants to keep Jed, but she wants to be up on any sort of flip that's going to happen. This is a really tough spot for her to be in game-wise, because on the one hand, Jed is probably about to go out the door, but she can't distance herself from him believably in any way. So she really has to straddle this fence between going with the flip against Jed, but also not alienating him too hard, because it's also Kiefer and Ty voting, who have changed their mind 1,000 times week to week. So I thought she navigated this pretty well. She gets the information from Ty, is in a really good spot with him, as he's kind of ruthlessly talking about getting rid of Jed and why they both need to do it. And then Beth goes back to Jed, gives him the information, but also is sure to make sure that he's not going to go blow up her game in the process, and does a really good job calming him down and talking him through it and making a plan and saying, no, they're telling me stuff. As long as you don't make it clear that I've told you, I'll still continue to get information. I thought she played this pretty well. I don't think she had a perfect week, but this was really good, the way she navigated being in on the plan, but also staying close to Jed.
I mean, ultimately, obviously, she made the right decision, or however she came to that decision, she did so in the right way. When I was watching the episode, I almost thought oh gosh, if you realize the votes are not going to go Jed's way. And here's the thing, a lot of fans will complain oh, it's a unanimous vote, okay, just because the number might be 3-0 or 10-0 or whatever, that doesn't mean that the house is unified. It means that the people who find out that the vote is going one way, and it's going to be there's not enough wind blowing in the right direction for a potential flip, okay, then you'll just vote to not be the odd person out. This is normally what happens. Every quote unanimous vote isn't actually a unified vote. It's normally just okay, we know that we don't have the numbers to flip it. We're gonna not be the lone vote who can get picked off or whatever. We're just going to merge in with the crowd and then maybe try to win a competition and go into the next time. So this is obviously what Beth was doing. To me, I was like, oh man, it's going to come across as disingenuous, because, in any other conventional circumstance, you would rely on, okay, well, even if the vote is going 2-0, Jed's other allies have turned against him, his showmance is still going to give him the one kind of mercy vote. Just to, send him packing, but she didn't. And I mean, I think, look, Beth takes a lot of heat online, and I was going through Twitter, and it's look, she is not well liked on Twitter. And I don't understand that. And I don't know if it's just a woman thing or that she's a villain. Because at the beginning it was oh yeah, go Beth, play those two guys. Yeah, girl power, woo! And then, fast forward a few weeks, and it's oh, she's so vile and liar and wretched. She's the scum of the earth, blah, 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 blah. I think Beth is a great Big Brother character, and I think she's a pretty good Big Brother player, and she's been pretty consistent the whole way through with her scheming and dealing. If she was I hate this argument, but it really feels like if she was a guy, that it would be celebrated. And I hate those arguments, because I think they should be based on the person and not what they're what's between their legs. But I think Beth is that classic kind of Big Brother villain. She reminds me a lot of Allison Irwin. Big Brother Canada hasn't really had an Allison Irwin. Beth is sort of our version of that to a degree anyway. I think she's great for the show, and I think the fan reaction to her is very hypocritical and it's silly. So it just makes me root for Beth because I know how much it would tick off all of these morons on Twitter who, 8 weeks ago were cheering because she had 2 guys and now are condemning her for it because she's actually playing the game. So I don't know. It's a typical Twitter.
Yeah, I hate that shit so much. I almost can't get on. I'm not on Twitter anymore. That's just a toxic set. I have no need for that. But I mean, those same people, they were rooting for Beth. Now they hate Beth. If she comes out of the house, and I hope this happens because I worry about people. She's going to get a lot of hate. If she can let it roll off her back and laugh about it and laugh at herself a little bit, these same people are going to be saying, "Yas, queen."
They'll kiss her butt immediately. Yeah.
So,
all she's got to do is like someone's got to, say something to her. And she takes it in stride and gives like a cheeky kind of response back, and they're like, "Oh, well, actually, I loved you all along, and I was rooting for you," and like that's what always happens. So just, I don't know. You are completely right, though, and I hate that element of the fandom because I categorize it in 2 different things. There's the fans, which are lovely, wonderful people who interact with the show in a good way, and then there's the fandom, who are toxic degenerates who make the show not worth engaging with.
Yeah, it sucks. If you're one of those people, just stop being that person. Just wake up and decide to be happy.
Yeah,
feel a lot better. But Jed also makes a comment here that this could be the dumbest move in Big Brother Canada history. What he does. Is this the dumbest move in Big Brother Canada history?
Well, I mean, contrary to what I was saying before, is if your only point of reference is like the last 2 seasons, then maybe you don't know the full breadth of it. But this move might have been so dumb that it could rank up there all time anyway. Although, again, it's results oriented. So if the result of this move ends up that at the beginning of week 9, Jed, Ty, and Beth are all in the house, then it's like, if there wasn't the twist, probably. But there is the twist. And you can't just say, well, you can't ignore the reality of the situation. If he made this move a week prior and it was just one person, if it was on Tina's eviction week, okay. Yeah, maybe the worst move ever, or one of the worst moves ever in Big Brother Canada. There's definitely been no shortage of bad moves. I've made several of them myself. But if he remains in the game, which is he's got a 50-50 shot, and his showmance remains in the game, and his bromance, like, look, they were crying legitimate, like, look, you formed some real, genuine, true friendships in there. And even though the game should technically come first, I am sure that both Ty and Beth felt extreme remorse and sadness and guilt and the whole litany of negative emotions to get rid of Jed. But if he comes back, then we're all one big happy family again. Yeah, everything worked out. Got sauce. Woo! Restock the shelf with sauce, baby. Then
I think that could happen. That like these people will just change whatever way the wind's blowing. I can easily see them all just build a bridge over this. Let's get back together. No worries.
Right.
That would be wild. I can't even imagine the editors. I'm just thinking of the editing room. I'm just
man,
we have put so much into the breakdown of this relationship, and now you're all just cool again. They're going to storm out. There's going to be
the Big Brother Canada always does a great job at their promo packages. Like I love pro wrestling. WWE, I think, does the greatest promo packages in the world for their matches and recaps and stuff. Big Brother Canada does a really good job though too. And you're right, especially the finale, like Big Brother Canada finales, all the pomp and circumstance, like their epic video packages at the end. If somehow, some way, by hook or by crook, that the sauce can finagle their way into the final 3, I don't know how that they're going to twist and contort and conform this story into being coherent. Because like, if you're just one of those people that tuned in on the premiere and then like, took a nap until finale night, you're gonna be like, wait, what? Hold on. How did this happen? And why did it happen in this way?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I think their move is just don't even try to do it. I think they just go ahead like the announcer guy's doing his promo package, like, and then Jed was betrayed. Yeah. But then what? Huh?
Yeah.
Huh? And then they're all good again.
Yeah,
I think you just do that because you can't make any sense of that if it happens. But so there you go, Jed. Could be the dumbest move ever. Certainly, like I think there's probably worse moves, but I think they're probably smaller moves.
Yeah.
This involves the veto. This involves the block. This involves all of the mechanics of the game. It's very visual, so it's really memorable too. So I think this probably will go down being remembered as the dumbest move in Big Brother Canada history. So. But the twist might save you, man.
Yeah.
And after that, we get a jury segment, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But before we do, here's a quick word from some of our sponsors.
By the time you feel thirsty, it's too late. You're already dehydrated. You can't focus and you feel tired.
Drinking enough water is critical for a healthy lifestyle that you're trying to maintain. It increases your brain power, boosts your productivity. It can prevent headaches and it'll increase your focus. Not only that, it improves your skin and mood, and it can help with your digestion and give you energy. Wow, it also prevents bad breath and can help you lose weight. But how much water should you drink each day? 10 cups? A gallon? The good news is that it doesn't have to be so complicated. That's why I start my day with Hydrant, because Hydrant helps you hydrate faster.
Hydrant has created a refreshing electrolyte powder that you mix directly into water to more efficiently and effectively hydrate your body. It hydrates you quickly and keeps you going for longer. Each rapid hydration mix has the 4 essential electrolytes that your body needs: sodium, potassium, magnesium, and zinc, and it packs a punch to help your body hydrate fast and stay hydrated. If you're looking for that extra boost of energy, there's also Hydrant Plus Caffeine, which contains 100 milligrams of caffeine from green tea. Hydrant is backed by research. The formula was developed by an Oxford scientist. It also is loved by pro athletes, top performers, celebrities, and has thousands of 5-star reviews.
It's made with real fruit juice powder. It's delicious and refreshing, and it comes in a variety of flavors, including iced tea, lemonade, and fruit punch. My favorite personally is the grapefruit. It's a classic and I go back to it. It's delicious. Plus, this stuff is backed by a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you don't love it, you can send it back for a full refund. You really need to try it for yourself to see what I'm talking about. It tastes incredible and it works.
Well, Hydrant starts at just $1 a packet for a 30-day supply, and you save even more with a monthly subscription. And it's so easy to get. We've got a special deal for our listeners to save 25% off your first order. We're not kidding here, folks. 25%. Go to drinkhydrant.com/survivor and enter our promo code SURVIVOR at checkout. That's drinkhydrant.com/survivor and enter promo code SURVIVOR for 25% off your first order. That's drinkhydrant.com/survivor. Enter promo code SURVIVOR to save 25%. And we thank them for sponsoring the podcast.
Growing up, cereal was one of the best parts of being a kid, but I had to give it up because I realized it was full of sugar and junk that you really shouldn't eat. I've been trying to cut down on carbs, sugar, unhealthy food, and realized I basically can't eat anything anymore. I've been drinking protein shakes and powders for years to help with my workouts, but I finally found a delicious way to get my protein before and after my workouts. We're all trying to eat better, but healthy breakfast doesn't have to be boring. Magic Spoon has some amazing flavors you'll love. I know I do, but without all that bad stuff.
Hey, we're talking 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. That's only 140 calories a serving. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb, and GMO-free. And we've got some exciting news. Magic Spoon will be releasing 2 amazing new flavors this month for a limited time only. We're talking about cookies and cream and maple waffle. Do I now have 2 favorite flavors of Magic Spoon that I haven't even tried yet? Because I'm looking at my dream board right in front of me, and what's there? Cookies and cream and maple waffle. This is a dream come true. And if that isn't the most comforting, indulgent combination, then I don't know what is. This is the ultimate treat yourself combo So make sure you get some while you can for a limited time. Or build your own box. Available flavors to build your very own custom bundle are cocoa, one of my faves, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, and cinnamon, my absolute fave. Now, if you're listening in Canada, Magic Spoon now ships there as well.
That sounds about perfect for the maple waffle. If you want to get in on this, go to magicspoon.com/survivor to grab the new limited edition cookies and cream, maple waffle, or a custom bundle of cereal to try it today. And be sure to use our promo code SURVIVOR at checkout to save $5 off your order. This offer is now good anywhere in the US or Canada, but only when you use our code at checkout.
And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked.
Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/survivor and use the code SURVIVOR to save $5. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring this episode. And we're back, and it's time to talk about the jury segment. We wondered if we get one last week. We finally got it, and we get to see Spicy V in the wilderness, trying to figure out how snakes work. We hear from her a couple times that she's really respecting Beth's moves. The Ro show arrives, and I love the way Ro talks in this. It's like he speaks like he's an essay.
Yeah.
We do basic activities such as going out on the water. Thank you for speaking in transitions. That's awesome. As a writing teacher, I appreciate that. And Tina arrives, but the real meat of this is that we get to see them sitting around chatting about who's playing the best game. Unanimously, Kiefer. And then they say Beth. Were you surprised that they're respecting Kiefer and Beth, and we don't hear much talk about Jed or Ty at all here?
Well, one, I see a lot of myself in Rohan to start. Rohan really feels like the amalgamation of myself, Alec, and AJ, obviously all from season 1. So we really like Rohan. I think he definitely could have fitted with that trio of people. So it was fun to see his reaction to jury because it felt very familiar. But anyway, I think, they're probably pretty spot on, especially from when that would have been taped and kind of the information they all would have had available to them at the time coming in. Yeah, it's going to look like Kiefer is the dominant player. It is surprising that they put Beth in the number 2 slot. Good for her, as we kind of talked about earlier. But Kiefer really is, I think, the one to beat. I think if he's in that final, like, look, I don't love the constant referring to how, the money would change his life and his fit. Like, look, I'm sure all of that is true. Mm-hmm. And I'm not disparaging him for saying that. But everything that is a game tactic, regardless of its authenticity, it is a game tactic. And it's not a game tactic that I like from anyone ever. I hate when people bring in, here is my outside circumstance, and this is why I should be here and be awarded. And, because my life is this, that, and the other thing, and your life is different, then I should be rewarded because of how much it will change me. I don't like this argument. I've never liked this argument. I will never like this argument. So for that, I'm like, come on, dude. Like, there's so many other things that you can say. Get away from that. But back to the jury. It makes perfect sense for the jury to evaluate Kiefer's game as the best, even though, like I described Kiefer's game as it is at the extremes. If you look at a Big Brother pendulum of like extremely bad and extremely good, Kiefer satisfies all of these requirements, and he swings back constantly.
And there's no middle. Yeah.
There's no middle. But Ty, as a contrast, his Big Brother game, while also being pretty good, but not flashy and quite very boring and doesn't offer a lot to the show until very recently, his is right in that sweet spot in the very middle. I think Ty's actually probably a pretty good, like, social first Big Brother game. He seems very likable, and clearly he's capable of doing what is necessary in the moment. He just doesn't offer a lot to the show. But he exists in this very narrow space, which, maybe might put him into, like, the same type of player as, like, that that has that hard time selling their case to the jury at the end. But like all of the kind of players internally are like, now I see what he was doing, sort of thing, like the whole way along. But Kiefer, just because he occupies space on those extremes, and people do tend to, recognize the flashier, bolder, more obvious things that people are doing. It does make perfect sense why he would be at their top spot. In fact, I was shocked. Absolutely shocked. I thought Ty screwed up, in fact, to fast forward just a little bit in his HOH at the end of the episode by not putting Kiefer on the block. So it's like, bro, like, here's your opportunity. Like, Kiefer can win this game. And the longer he's allowed to just continue to slip by, that's only going to give him more value to the jury. That's only going to make him look better to the jury. If they're already putting him in the pole position, that number one slot, man, I think there's a huge missed opportunity to not take a swing at Kiefer at the end of tonight's episode for the double.
Yeah, I thought it very well could have been Kiefer and Beth on the block with Braden and Tara voting to evict Kiefer. I thought that made a lot of sense.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in the way Kiefer talks about, the way the money could change and the way he's using that as a game tactic. I'm of two minds. On the one hand, I don't mind when people pull that out at the final, at the jury discussion.
Sure.
I think that's the place for that, because you're framing the narrative, you're framing the game and how it fits into your life. You're providing that additional context of what you didn't see from playing this game.
Yes.
Here's what was going on in the back of my head.
Yep.
Versus Kiefer has the biggest issue. I don't know if he's like a big time verbal processor. I have these students who like talk constantly in class, but I let them talk constantly in class because they will not be able to process the information if they are not articulating this. I wonder if he's one of those, because as much as he talks about how great he is, about how much this money's going to change his life, it's like you are giving everyone all the bullets they need to kill you.
Of course.
Why are you doing this? Like, you should be talking about how you don't need the money, how you're not playing a good game, because you're the biggest threat. You're the biggest threat, so stop talking about it.
Yeah, it's either ego or, as you perhaps more correctly pointed out, he just has to talk things out. Maybe he's trying to convince himself that it's true, to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, but you don't ever want to give people ammunition in there, and he's giving them not only just one, bullet, but a full chamber of just like, hey, here's all the reasons why you shouldn't be in this house right now, for all the reasons why Ty was kind of explaining to Jed, like, and it was a great moment and very cold, of just being like, hey, it's not about you and like competing against you because you think that you're the best. It's just about moving forward and putting someone else in the best position. But for that exact same rationale, that's why Kiefer should have been on the block in Ty's HOH.
Yes. No. And that's the next conversation we see once we come back from the jury, is this really tough, really emotional conversation. At first I thought, like, man, Ty is being stone cold. Like, his teeth are grit. He's like, but I'm like, oh, he's fighting back emotion. Okay. I'm so glad, because I thought, like, this dude was blubbering about Kiefer and now he's going to just be straight to Jed. I'm like, no, come on. You got to show something here, buddy. So I was glad that was as tough as it was, because this is, I've been very hyperbolic already tonight. This feels like maybe one of the top 3 or 4 most brutal betrayals in Big Brother history. Like, this is intense. Yeah. All 4 of these people are so emotional, and this was a little tough to watch. Like, it was riveting, but I'm like, I would love to think I'd be great at Big Brother or one of these shows. I couldn't do this. If I bonded with someone for a week, I couldn't do this to him. I know exactly. Don't ever cast me for any show.
And that's like, you're shocked at how quickly you do, like, it's so silly. People on the internet give them the what for, because everyone's so emotional. Like, why are they crying? They've only known these people for 8 weeks or whatever. It's like, no, just look, it might be 8 weeks in real time, but 8 weeks in there is, you might as well be in there for a decade, because you're spending literally 24 hours in this weird pressure cooker that's unlike anything you've ever experienced. And there's this gameplay element going on that's kind of looming over everything constantly. You're making real bonds, lifelong friendships, genuine connections. And then you get to this part where it's like, oh man, I have to get rid of this person. And it's just like them physically leaving is difficult. It's almost in a weird way, like just them physically not being in the house is harder than making the quote move to remove them from the game. And so there are all of these insanely emotional things that run through your head, and you're trying to balance all of this stuff, not look like a fool, trying to do the best that you can, maintain your friendship, still try to win. Like, it just, so much goes into it. You can make friends for life. Like, look, Julie and Josh, Julie was in the house for 6 days. Josh was in the house for 13 days. And they came back within, a week of each other and automatically became best friends. They weren't even that close in the house, because even though they were on the same team, they were at opposite ends, because they were both they were kind of the de facto 2 nominees. And then as soon as they got back to Vancouver, they're hanging out with each other 15 times a week. So it's like you can form true, genuine friendships in there, even if you're only there for a few hours. These people have been in there for several weeks. It feels like an eternity. All those emotions are very, very, very real. And so it's always kind of like, like people on the internet who laughing at that. It's like, you really don't get how emotionally invasive the Big Brother experience actually is, beyond the scope of just the mechanics of the game.
Yeah, and this is what I love about the show, is how real this is. I mean, not that I want to watch people suffer in this manner,
but
a little bit. Yeah, I mean, you want to watch people make friendships and have to betray them. That's the name of the game, and I love it when it's difficult, when everyone in there's too game body.
Yeah,
it becomes way less interesting. So I thought this was great. We get to the vote, and this is one of the more tear-filled votes I've ever seen. And Beth ultimately decides correctly, as we said, based on the results we see later, to vote out Jed and to kind of put her flag in the sand. I'm with the Ty and Kiefer side, and it ends up being a right move. And oh my gosh, when Jed walks out of the house, that was so cool. We get a peek backstage. There's someone wearing a hazmat suit. Side. This is such a weird time capsule. If you thought like Big Brother Canada 8 wasn't a time capsule enough, here you go. Here we are, like over a year later, and there's a production assistant wearing a full hazmat suit. Because
were they in full hazmat, or they just had the mask on?
I don't know. I'd have to look at it again.
In my memory of it, I think they were just wearing the shield mask thing. But you're right. They should have been wearing a full hazard. Like, it should have been something that was like thematic towards that season. Like, they should have been
apocalyptic,
fiery, like apocalyptic type thing. Yeah. Not just like the intern in the mask and the thing or whatever. I don't know. I'll have to go back and watch. But regardless, the visual was so great of both Jed and Tara walking out, and they have the sign like, "Shh, you're not really evicted. Circle back around, go into the HOH. Here's your info." It's mind blowing. Oh my God, that's crazy. I can only imagine the emotional, what you would be going through in that moment. So I remember what it's like to leave and walk down the stairs, and I remember exactly who I saw, exactly what they said, like that. I could walk through that whole thing, the whole process of being evicted. It stays with you, trust me.
Yeah.
And for them to walk out being like, oh man, like the dream is dead, it's over. Because you would have to assume, if I'm in that house, I'm like, okay, well, COVID protocols, there's no way anyone's going to come back. So you have to just, okay, once they're gone, they're gone. There's no way. But they didn't really leave. They didn't do the Arista thing. They just did a little loop, went back into HOH. And like, that had to be super overwhelming. You could see it in both of their faces when it happened. But yeah, they maybe missed a moment to add a little visual, thematic consistency in that moment, which they're normally so very good with. But I don't know, maybe they didn't have the wardrobe budget or something.
Yeah, it's a tough year. We're making do with what we've got, and they're doing a great job. It would have been very cool if it was like Mad Max there.
Exactly. Oh man, it would have been like, you don't know, like, look, you thought it was bad when you went in, but it's got way worse since then, and we actually can't evict you. We're not legally allowed, so you better go back in the house. Like, they would believe it. They don't know. Nobody knows. Like, you believe anything when you're in there.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. But I was hyped enough when he did the loop and he's back in the HOH room. That was super cool. We get to see the back alleyways production uses. This felt very like WWE style when the camera goes out. That was a lot of fun. And then Arissa announces the double to the house, and she proves why she is infinitely better than Julie Chen. She doesn't spoil anything. There's no graphic behind her. Triple eviction. The twist comes off perfectly.
Yeah.
They have no idea that this is all fake. As we said, Ty wins the HOH. He nominates Tara and Beth. Shocking that he doesn't go for Kiefer here, but okay. And at this point in my head, I'm thinking definitely Beth's the target.
Yes, of course. Obviously. I was like, she's done. That's it. They're sending it to Showmance. I was like, that's good, though. Okay, we're going to get Showmance versus Showmance in the return comp. Jet sacrificed himself for Beth. Will he do it again? Can she manipulate him to not throwing his ball? Like, what's going to happen? And then what? Literally expect the unexpected as the votes began to be cast.
Yeah, I think tonight we're that close to a hat trick, and I think this one hit the crossbar. Like, I think if we would have gotten the Beth versus Jed at the end here, that would have just been too much for us. I don't know. But Braden wins the POV, doesn't use it. Okay, good for him. And then Braden and Kiefer evict Tara. Like we said, we went through that. Very confusing. But the big thing here is Tara and Jed are allowed to interact in the HOH.
Yes.
And Tara knows where all the bodies are with Jed's eviction.
Mm-hmm.
And this is very exciting for the prospect of Jed coming back into the house, that Tara was able to have a bitter, angry, emotional conversation with him before he does so. I hope that, I don't know. I guess I'm of two minds. On the one hand, I'm very excited to see what Jed does to try to get some vengeance, but I'm also worried that we could get like a Mitch situation where this information should not be there. It feels a little unfair that someone gets screwed, but quite honestly, I'm not rooting for any of these people enough for me to compare them to a Mitch situation. So I'd have at it, buddy. I'm not really rooting for you either. Just cause chaos.
I think the person that the most negative impact for Jed returning is Kiefer, because it was Kiefer's plan. I mean, or at least the show indicated to us that it was Kiefer's plan. Tara probably is going to paint the red X on Kiefer. So I think that, look, you had Ty and Beth sobbing as Jed left. Obviously, that's going to stick with you. That's going to feel real. It probably is.
Yeah.
Kiefer didn't really have much of a reaction at all. Neither did Braden. Maybe nor should they. Although for Kiefer's case, maybe he should have kept up appearances just a little bit more longer. Because if it is, it comes to pass that it turns out it was Kiefer's plan. He put the ball in motion. If Jed comes back and gets any kind of power whatsoever, or if Beth wins an HOH, I would think, although we have been wrong many times with trying to evaluate the trajectory of this season, I would think that Kiefer would be target number one for that group. But it could be a case where like Jed or Beth take out Kiefer, and then Braden and or Ty take out Jed, and then Beth takes out Ty, and we get a final that's Beth versus Braden.
Yeah.
That could happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Beth's beloved in the jury. She's so good for her. I can see a way that Beth wins, and she'll get even more hate than she's currently getting. But yeah, you know what? I definitely, Kiefer should be the target no matter what. And he's the obvious front runner here. He should be the target for anyone who comes back in the house, for anyone who wins HOH, and add that to the fact that this was his plan. Yes. He was the one laying the hard truths on Jed during this conversation that they're having. And Kiefer is probably the only one left in the house who doesn't have like a parachute alliance. Ty's got Braden, Jed's got Beth.
Yeah.
So I think he's probably cooked.
Can you just imagine, though, with all of the things that Kiefer has been saying about himself, how angry he's going to be if he gets quote screwed by the twist? Because I'm always of the opinion that a twist cannot screw a player. only a player can, like, it's the Brett didn't screw Brett, or no, sorry, Vince didn't screw Brett, Brett screwed Brett, to use a wrestling reference that like 10 people of watching this will get. But anyway, basically, like, a lot of people are like, oh, even Mitch, like, you know, look, I'm of the opinion that twists only accelerate things that would otherwise have happened anyway. Like, if you're really a good player in a good position, it's not to say that a twist can't have negative consequences for you, but it is significantly less likely that they have negative consequences for you. A poorly positioned player, socially speaking, the likelihood of a twist negatively impacting them is very, very high. Now, there are these weird twists sometimes where it's like, yeah, someone comes, you know, even saw it in season 3, like where Cindy left, got a bunch of information from the pre-jury, then came back and used it. Cindy went right back out the door, but that information was able to like catapult the fembots or whatever Sarah and Brittany were called literally to the end of the game and or at least push them significantly on that path. Obviously, yeah, you can say Mitch got screwed over because of the Kelsey Levita situation. Sure, they're getting screwed, but ultimately they are, you know, it's a reap what you sow type situation. And I know a lot of people don't like that, and I know it's somewhat of a controversial take, but like, if you are really a good player in a good position, the likelihood of being negatively affected by the twist is low. And if you really are that good anyway, and you do find yourself in a vulnerable spot vis-a-vis a twist, if you're really that good, you'll find a way to get out of it anyway. So I don't know. I'm not of the opinion that like twists can totally screw over people's games, and that in so much as that they are solely responsible for the person's eviction. A house guest is responsible for every choice, every decision, every action that they make in that house. And you have to keep in mind that people can come back, information can get out. There could be secret rooms. Like, you know, you don't want to hedge your bet to the point in which you are fearless to do fearful rather to do anything. But you do have to keep in mind that these things can happen literally at any time. Now we're going to see in 2 different seasons, at least, that someone is going to come back when there are just 4 people left in the game. I as a fan, I don't love that either, but that's not for us to decide. The game is going to play out in the way in which the game is going to play out. And Kiefer, who I'm sure if he's the next person evicted and it's at the hands of Jed or Beth, my God, he's just going to say, look, I was the best and I got screwed by the twist. And if the twist didn't happen, I wouldn't have been evicted. And he's going to convince himself that this is true. And in my opinion, it's not.
Yeah, no, I definitely hear what you're saying. Like, it's like the twist maybe creates more adversity for some players than others. Like, I think that this twist creates far more of a challenge for Kiefer than it does for Braden, just because of the way this move played out. However, if they come back and Jed is bitter towards Kiefer, that is because of the way Kiefer pulled off this move.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm 100% with you there. I mean, it's similar to the idea that there are no bitter juries. You create the relationships you have with the jury, and which I stand by that 100%. I don't think you can call a jury bitter. I certainly think you can say those people are pissed off, but someone did that to them. They are not just inherently a pissed off person.
Exactly. Like, I think the phrase bitter jury is redundant. All that you have to say is jury, because every individual, like, everyone came there to win. And if you don't win, you're going to be bitter. You're going to be angry. You're going to be upset. You're going to be ticked off. You're going to be disappointed, frustrated, and on and on and on and on and on. And then there's this like sentiment out there that the fans seem to believe and encourage that, like, well, you lost your dream and you should be happy about it and congratulate the quote best player at the end. All right, well, what is the best player? Describe what the best player is. Well, the person who made the best moves. Okay. It's subjective, is my point. The best player of the season is the individual who earns the most votes from the jury members. And if you, as a finalist, have directly made the majority of jurors have a negative opinion on your game, then you're not the best player, because the objective is to make the jury vote for you. And if doesn't matter if it's just like, well, I really don't like this person, and so it's It's a vote against you, not a vote for someone else. Doesn't matter. The objective is to get votes, whether you're the lesser of two evils, the greatest player, and you've taken like a Victoria type, even though that didn't happen, or Karen's the best example, or Sabrina. Like these examples, like, well, it's very clear that this, one person's probably going to win over the other. That those things can flip and they can turn, but it is the responsibility of the finalist to ensure that the jury has a positive opinion on their game. It is not the responsibility of a juror to have a positive opinion on the person or persons or whatever who either got them out or remain in the game. It's like people place the onus on the jury and completely absolve the finalist of any potential wrongdoing. And it's like, well, they got there, you should just, reward them. They got there, they beat you. Ha ha ha. Okay, that is one perspective, but it's significantly different when you're in that position and you have been beaten. And more often than not, a juror is going to vote for the person that they were emotionally closer to in the game, regardless of how well they played, in quotations, or who the, quote, best player was. I let you know a little bit of a secret here, folks. Like I said, the best player is the one who receives the votes. Full stop. The winner is the best player. Everything else is window dressing. Everything else is subjective analysis. Everything else is personal opinion. It really doesn't matter whether you win all of the competitions, like Kevin had to do to get to the end of Big Brother Canada Season 5, or you win none of the competitions, like Dr. Will did in Big Brother USA Season 2. I'm not comparing those two directly, but like their paths to the end are polar opposites. The jury in the end has a responsibility to vote for a finalist. Whether they're bitter or happy about it is irrelevant.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's fun fan fiction to talk about, like, oh, who would I value more as a juror? But
right.
But think about it from that perspective. Don't think about it that the jury fucked up, because they certainly didn't. They did their job. I think with one exception on your season.
Wow. I always say, look, the second that Topaz put up her finger, they wrote the check for season 2, because it was maybe touch and go, who knows. So ultimately, like, look, it ended up in the right way. It was a controversial finish for a first season. What better way to end? Gary ended up, look, I don't want to reveal too much, but whatever Gary would have lost in that moment, he was on Sideshow with me co-hosting for the next 2 years, and then he played again in season 5. So Gary was more than made up for his, quote, loss to Jillian. And Jillian was a great player too. So like, I think everything worked out for my season, to rehash from 8 years ago, in the way that it was supposed to. Yeah,
that's certainly the most famous. The one time a juror did get it wrong, but that's maybe the only time. Otherwise, it's not the fans' job to say that. But I don't believe in bitter jurors. But that being said, Kiefer, if he goes out because Brett comes back, it's going to be whatever you think a bitter juror is. That will be Kiefer, because he is going to be so sanctimonious and not stop talking about how his game was one of the best of all time. And it's going to be a practice. And I like Kiefer, but that's going to be terrible.
Victoria, like, how many times did she reference to the fact that she was going to win and she was the best player? I think in just this episode. Yeah, and she's been in the jury for 2 weeks now. So between the two of them, like, the jury deliberation segment is going to be Kiefer and Victoria talking about who of the two of them is the best player of the season. And they're going to completely disregard who the final two actually are.
Yeah. And you're just going to have Roe with his head in his hands. I can't listen to this anymore.
I can't wait.
It's going to be good. Well, Peter, I think we did a really good job. I mean, this was an amazing episode. I'm always excited to get to come talk to you about Big Brother tonight, especially because, like I said, I think one of my favorite episodes of Big Brother at all, ever, any continent, any country. This ruled. So thank you so much. So where can people find you if they want to follow you on social media?
I am at also Peter Brown on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Basically all the socials at also Peter Brown. And I'm pretty responsive too, unless you're twit, and then I'll mute you, because I have like 5,000 people muted.
Yeah. Oh, as you should. That's a good number. That's a lot. That's impressive. Awesome. Yeah, thank you everybody for listening again. You can find me at Zack Hacker Writes. And if you want to check out my latest book that came out a few weeks ago, it is back on the second printing. So you can check that out. You can go to zackhacker.com or just type in my name wherever books are sold. Thank you so much, everybody. Good night. And we'll be back again next week to talk about the aftermath of, I'm hoping, Jed's return. We'll see you then.
And when it comes to eating better and consuming less sugar, let's be honest, most healthy snacks don't taste very good. They don't fill you up, and they certainly don't satisfy your cravings. This episode is sponsored by Monk Pack, who makes snacks that taste like our favorite sugary treats, but with less than 1 gram of sugar.
Monk Pack Keto Nut and Seed Bars contain less than 1 gram of sugar, 2 to 3 grams of net carbs, and they're only 150 calories.
They're great for anyone following a keto lifestyle and the perfect snack for anyone who is trying to eat better or cut back on sugar and carbs without sacrificing taste.
Yeah, that's so true. I'm personally not a keto eater, but I love these nut and seed bars. I try to have one of these always on me for a snack because I'm usually trying to train for a new running distance I'm trying to hit. I think 2021 is going to be the year for my first full marathon. And I think Monk Pack Keto Nut and Seed Bars are going to help me get there because they're giving me the energy I need and the nutrition I need to make those health goals possible.
Wow. Monk Pack Keto Nut and Seed Bars have the perfect balance of sweet and salty, a crunch from whole nuts and seeds, but still manage to be soft and chewy. How do they do it? They come in delicious flavors like sea salt dark chocolate, pecan almond, and my favorite, no contest, love these so much. Game changers, if you will, the peanut butter dark chocolate.
So good. They're perfect for a quick snack to satisfy your sweet tooth without any guilt. Enjoy Monk Pack Keto Nut and Seed Bars as a quick breakfast, while running errands, or after a workout.
In addition to being keto friendly, these bars are gluten-free, plant-based, and non-GMO. So with no soy, trans fat, sugar alcohols, or artificial flavors.
They really taste incredible, and you can't beat the low sugar nutrition or taste they provide. And by shopping online, you can avoid another trip to the grocery store by getting Monk Pack delivered right to your door.
Try it for yourself and see. And we have a special deal for our listeners. Get 20% off your first purchase of any Monk Pack product by visiting monkpack.com and entering promo code SURVIVOR at checkout.
And Monk Pack is so confident in their product, it's backed by a 100% satisfaction guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll exchange the product or refund your money, whichever you prefer.
So to get started, just go to monkpack.com, that's monkpack.com, and select any product, and then use promo code SURVIVOR, they love it when we do that, at checkout to save 20% off your purchase.
Monk Pack, delicious, nutritious foods you can count on, and we thank them for sponsoring the Reality NSFW podcast.
Are you ready to enter the wild again? There's a chance no one has seen your balls in a few months. Don't ruin your first post-quarantine date with a ball fro. Would you show up to your first day of school without a haircut?
Manscaped is here to provide you with the best tools for your grooming experience. Johnny, how's your grooming been lately?
Oh man, I am sleek, aerodynamic. I'm like that new Tesla. I mean, I got a bunch of 5Ks coming up. I got a bunch of half marathons coming up. Oh man, I'm gonna run so fast. There's no friction between Johnny Fairplay, little Johnny Fairplay, and home sweet home.
Oh, that's good news because Manscaped is here to help everyone else get on that level with their Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer. It's the best hygiene tool for the modern man. Because of their ceramic blade and advanced skin-safe technology, your snags will be reduced while preparing yourself for post-quarantine life. Manscaped is forever changing the grooming game with their Perfect Package 3.0 Essentials Kit. The Perfect Package 3.0 comes with the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0, waterproof cordless body trimmer, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag for you to use when you're done quarantining.
The Perfect Package 3.0 also comes with the Manscaped Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner. Now, the Crop Preserver is an anti-chafing ball deodorant, which ensures that your afternoon stroll doesn't end with your balls sticking to your leg. They call that bat winging. You can eliminate that with a little manscaping, courtesy of the Crop Preserver. But the Crop Reviver is a spray-on toner for your balls. It's made with the soothing aloe and witch hazel extracts that give your balls a boost. Now, subscribers to the Peak Hygiene Plan get a new replacement blade refill for your Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer delivered to your door every 3 months. Don't be using no old razor. Come on. and making sure your trimmer stays fresh and clean.
The light is at the end of the tunnel, fellas. Treat yourself for making it through quarantine with the Perfect Package 3.0. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code SURVIVOR at manscaped.com.
That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use promo code SURVIVOR. They love it when we do that. And your first date will thank you. Lucy Nicotine is a company founded by Caltech scientists and former smokers looking for a better and cleaner nicotine alternative. Finally, tobacco alternatives that don't suck.
Researched and developed for 3 years to be made by people, not patients, Lucy's created a nicotine gum with 4 milligrams of nicotine that comes in 3 flavors: wintergreen, cinnamon, and pomegranate. Lucy also has a lozenge with 4 milligrams of nicotine in cherry ice flavor. Each and every flavor actually does taste great, and it's convenient and discreet. Products can be enjoyed anywhere, on flights, at work, on the go, even in the gym. I'm so excited that Lucy is sponsoring us because one of my best friends in the world, he's trying to quit smoking. His girlfriend's been getting on him for years. He's a big menthol smoker, and the wintergreen flavor is a really nice substitute for him that he absolutely loves. So this is the thing that you need to check out if you've been trying to kick your tobacco habits.
I have a family member that's tried the pomegranate, and they say it's one of the greatest tasting gums they've ever had. We're not talking nicotine gum. We're talking any gum. So if you've been discouraged by other nicotine gums, try the pomegranate. And also for the lozenge, the cherry ice is allegedly the best. And you know what? I believe them. But as far as enjoying anywhere, I heard at the gym, you get a little extra bump from the lozenge and from the gum.
Boom. It's 2020. Get rid of your cigarettes, unplug your vape, throw out your dip, and get some Lucy nicotine gum or lozenges. This is the real deal, and a subscription to Lucy comes directly to your door each month. It's so simple, you don't even have to leave your house because Lucy has delivery down.
Reality NSFW listeners, go to lucy.co and use promo code SURVIVOR to get 20% off all products, including gum and lozenges. That's Lucy, LUCY.co. That's right, CO, and use promo code SURVIVOR at checkout. Also, I have to give this disclaimer. Warning, this product contains nicotine derived from tobacco, and nicotine is an addictive chemical. So that's lucy.co, and be sure to use that promo code SURVIVOR, and we thank them for sponsoring the Reality NSFW podcast. This episode of Reality NSFW is sponsored by Blue Chew. Say it with us, Blue Chew. Blue Chew is making waves and bringing more confidence to the bedroom by offering chewable tablets that can help men get stronger and longer lasting erections. That's right, we're giving away super hard dicks.
Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. Blue Chew's tablets help men achieve harder, stronger erections to combat all forms of ED.
Blue Chew is an online prescription service, so no visits to the doctor offices, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. And it ships right to your door in a discreet package. The process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. And the best part, it's all done online.
Blue Chew's licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. Don't like swallowing pills? No problem here. Blue Chew's sildenafil and tadalafil tablets are chewable. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA, and they prepare and ship direct, so it's cheaper than a pharmacy.
Hey, if you're looking to give that immunity idol to someone, or you don't want to be voted out of a crater, don't worry, Blue Chew's got you covered. So if you could benefit from extra confidence when it's time to perform, visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information.
And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use promo code SURVIVOR at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's Blue Chew, BLUECHEW.com, promo code SURVIVOR to receive your first month free And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast.